Commander Thek'var adjusted his 6 eyes to focus on the holographic display floating before his command throne. The third planet from this unremarkable yellow star rotated slowly, its blue and green surface looking deceptively peaceful. He clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his species. "Look at this," he said to his second-in-command, pointing a clawed appendage at the tactical readout. "Their most advanced warship has what do they call it, railguns? How quaint. We stopped using kinetic weapons 3 millennia ago." The display showed Earth's military installations in embarrassing detail. Nuclear submarines that moved slower than his grandmother's mobility scooter. Fighter jets that couldn't even break their own atmosphere without strapping explosive fuel tanks to their backs. Ground forces carrying projectile weapons that required actual ammunition. "Sir," his tactical officer, Grixnal, interjected with barely contained amusement. "Their space program consists of launching people in metal cylinders and hoping they don't explode. They've managed to put exactly 12 individuals on their own moon in their entire history." Thek'var's mandibles clicked faster. 12? We conquered our first solar system before breakfast yesterday. This will be over before lunch. He gestured dismissively at the pathetic display of human military might. "Honestly, I'm almost embarrassed to add them to our conquest tally. It's like bullying a larva." The communications array chirped, indicating an incoming transmission from the Dominion High Command. Perfect timing. "Attention, primitive inhabitants of the third planet." Thek'var began his well-rehearsed speech, broadcasting on all human frequencies simultaneously. "I am Commander Thek'var of the Galactic Dominion Fleet. You have exactly 1 rotation of your planet to surrender unconditionally." He paused dramatically, as he'd done for the last 47 worlds. The fear responses were always delicious. "Resistance is futile. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your fastest vessels cannot outrun our slowest cargo haulers. Your entire military could not defeat a single one of our maintenance drones. Submit now, and we will grant you the privilege of serving as our labor force." The transmission ended with his signature flourish, a holographic display of the Dominion's vast armada. 2,000 ships, each capable of sterilizing a continent. It had never failed to produce immediate surrender. Then came the human response. "Dear Commander Thek'var," the transmission began, and Thek'var's eye stalks twitched at the deliberate mispronunciation. "Thanks for the offer, but we'll have to pass. Also, your mom's so ugly, she makes black holes look attractive." What followed was a barrage of incomprehensible human communications. Something called memes flooded their receivers. Images of small Earth creatures with text mocking alien anatomy. Videos of humans performing impossible physical feats while claiming these were normal Tuesday activities. One particularly baffling transmission showed a human female consuming what appeared to be liquid fire while saying, "This hot sauce ain't got nothing on my Tuesday morning coffee." "Sir," Grixnal said, his voice puzzled, "they're laughing at us. And they've somehow hacked our communication array to play something called Never Gonna Give You Up on infinite repeat." Thek'var stared at the flood of human responses. No cowering, no pleas for mercy, no desperate attempts at negotiation, just mockery, and an alarming number of images featuring small Earth mammals in humorous poses. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "they don't understand the gravity of their situation." The War Council convened within the hour, though calling it a council was generous. More like a gathering of mildly interested predators discussing how to divide particularly easy prey. "Gentlemen," Thek'var addressed his senior officers, "it seems these humans require a demonstration. Something to help them grasp the futility of resistance." General Voktar, his weapons specialist, brought up the bombardment options on the main display. "We could start with the atmospheric incinerators, sir. They're quite gentle, really. Only burn the surface atmosphere down to about 50 kilometers. Gives the population time to reconsider." "Too merciful," declared Admiral Zexthal. "I recommend the tectonic disruptors." "Nothing says surrender now like turning their largest landmasses into geological soup." Thek'var studied the options with the casual interest of someone selecting lunch. But what about the bio-plague bombs? Those were quite effective on Kepler 442 billion. Ah, yes, Grixnell nodded approvingly. The ones that target their nervous systems while keeping them conscious. Educational and efficient. The commander's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Excellent. We'll deploy all three in sequence. First the incinerators to soften their resolve, then the tectonic disruptors to demonstrate our reach, and finally the bio-plague to show them what true helplessness feels like. He gestured at the tactical display showing Earth's major population centers. Target their largest cities first. New York, London, Tokyo. Once they see their centers of civilization burning, they'll beg for the mercy we're no longer inclined to provide. The War Council murmured approval. It was textbook Dominion strategy, refined over centuries of conquest. Overwhelming force, escalating horror, inevitable submission. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. We're receiving another transmission from Earth. More memes? Thek'var asked wearily. No, sir. This one's different. It's from their military command structure. The transmission crackled to life, showing a middle-aged human in what appeared to be a military uniform. The human's expression was unnervingly calm. Commander Thek'var, the human said, "This is General Patricia Wong, Earth Defense Command. We've reviewed your surrender demands and counterproposal." Thek'var leaned forward, finally expecting the fear response he was accustomed to. "We decline," General Wong continued matter-of-factly. "However, we appreciate you making the first move. We've been wondering when someone would give us a reason to stop playing nice." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the War Council in stunned silence. "Playing nice?" Grixnell repeated slowly. Thek'var's confidence wavered for just a moment before reasserting itself. "Bravado. Nothing more. Deploy the weapons. Let's see how long their resolve lasts when their world starts burning." As the orders went out to the fleet, none of them noticed the subtle changes in Earth's orbital patterns. Small objects launching from the surface. Military installations worldwide switching to something called Protocol Omega. Most importantly, they failed to detect the massive energy signatures suddenly appearing in Earth's deepest ocean trenches, signatures that suggested the humans had been hiding something rather significant beneath all that water. The first atmospheric incinerator dropped from orbit like a falling star, its elegant silver form cutting through Earth's atmosphere with barely a whisper. Commander Thek'var watched from his command throne as the weapon activated over New York City, superheating the air to temperatures that would melt steel. "Beautiful," he murmured, watching the readouts as the device began its work. "Look how efficiently it spreads. 50-kilometer radius of complete atmospheric combustion. Even their emergency shelters won't help them now." The second incinerator deployed over London, followed by a third over Tokyo. The orbital view showed exactly what Thek'var expected: massive fireballs consuming everything in their path, skyscrapers melting like candles, infrastructure vaporizing in seconds. "Sir," reported Tactical Officer Grixnell, "tectonic disruptors are ready for deployment." "Excellent. Target the fault lines beneath their major population centers. Let's give them some earthquakes to remember." The disruptors were Thek'var's personal favorite, elegant weapons that didn't just destroy cities but reshaped entire continents. He watched with satisfaction as massive energy pulses penetrated Earth's crust, targeting the geological weak points his sensors had mapped weeks ago. California's San Andreas Fault responded first, splitting open like a wound across the landscape. The Mediterranean followed, tectonic plates grinding against each other with the fury of planetary forces unleashed. The entire Indian subcontinent shuddered as underground disruption waves turned stable bedrock into geological chaos. And now, Thek'var announced dramatically, the final act. The bio-plague bombs were works of art, really. Microscopic death engineered to target specific neural pathways while keeping the victims conscious and aware. Thek'var had commissioned them personally after conquering the Vegan Medical Consortium, combining their biological expertise with Dominion weapons technology. Dozens of plague capsules rained down across Earth's remaining population centers, invisible killers that would seep into water supplies, air filtration systems, and food distribution networks. Within hours, every human on the planet should be experiencing the slow, inevitable shutdown of their nervous systems. Status report, Thek'var commanded, settling back to enjoy the show. Atmospheric incinerators functioning at 100% efficiency, sir. Surface temperatures in target zones exceeding 3,000 degrees Celsius. Tectonic disruptors have destabilized 14 major fault systems. Seismic activity indicates successful continental reshaping. Bioplague deployment complete. Viral saturation across all major population centers achieved. Thek'var's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Excellent. How long before we receive their surrender transmission? Based on previous conquests, sir, approximately 2 hours. Maybe less, considering the thoroughness of our demonstration. The command crew settled in to wait, monitoring the destruction with the casual interest of professionals watching a well-executed plan unfold. The holographic displays showed exactly what they expected: massive fires consuming urban areas, geological catastrophes reshaping coastlines, and atmospheric readings indicating widespread biological contamination. 2 hours passed, then 4, then 6. Sir, the communications officer said hesitantly, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Finally, Thek'var said, display it. The hologram materialized, showing a human figure in what appeared to be military dress, though the image quality seemed oddly unaffected by the global catastrophe supposedly raging around him. Behind him, Thek'var could swear he saw other humans moving about normally, as if nothing had happened. Commander Thek'var, the human said, and Thek'var recognized the voice as General Wong from their earlier exchange. Well, that was rude. Now you've done it. Done what? Thek'var sputtered. Your planet is burning. Your continents are cracking apart. Your entire species should be experiencing neurological shutdown as we speak. General Wong's expression didn't change. Yeah, about that. You might want to check your sensor readings again. Thek'var's confidence faltered as his tactical displays updated with fresh data from Earth's surface. The readings made no sense whatsoever. New York City, which should have been a molten crater, was showing normal population movement. London, supposedly vaporized hours ago, was transmitting regular civilian communications. Tokyo appeared to be conducting business as usual, complete with what looked like rush-hour traffic patterns. This is impossible, Grixnell whispered, staring at his instruments. The atmospheric incinerators deployed correctly. I watched them activate. Sir, the environmental officer called out, voice cracking with confusion, I'm reading normal atmospheric composition over all target zones. No evidence of combustion, no thermal radiation, no atmospheric displacement. The tectonic disruptors? Thek'var demanded. Geological activity has returned to baseline, sir. The fault lines appear to have somehow stabilized themselves. I'm reading active seismic dampening fields across all target areas. And the bioplague? A long pause. Sir, I'm detecting human immune responses, but they're breaking down the viral agents faster than they can replicate. It's like their biology is actively laughing at our weapons. Thek'var turned back to the human on the display. How is this possible? Our weapons are guaranteed effective against all carbon-based life forms. General Wong smiled, and for the first time, Thek'var felt something he hadn't experienced in decades of conquest. Uncertainty. See, that's where you made your first mistake, Wong said conversationally. You assumed we'd just sit here and take it. But here's the thing about humans. We've been preparing for this day since we figured out fire was hot and pointy sticks hurt. Preparing how? Thek'var's voice had lost its commanding tone. Well, let's see. Those atmospheric incinerators. Really nice design, by the way. We reverse-engineered the technology from the wreckage of your scout ships 3 years ago. Turns out, when you know exactly how something works, building countermeasures becomes embarrassingly easy. The display split, showing footage of strange dome-shaped devices activating over Earth's major cities, generating energy fields that seem to contain and neutralize the incinerator weapons completely. The tectonic disruptors were trickier, Wong continued, but once we mapped your targeting algorithms, we just pre-positioned some geological stabilization equipment. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're properly motivated. And the bioplague? Thek'var's voice was barely a whisper. Wong's smile widened. Oh, that was the easy part. Turns out humans have been dealing with biological weapons for centuries. We call them diseases, and we've gotten really good at developing immunity. Your fancy engineered virus? Our immune systems treated it like a particularly mild case of the sniffles. Across the bridge, alarms began sounding. Sensor arrays were detecting massive energy signatures across Earth's surface, power levels that shouldn't be possible for a civilization barely capable of orbital flight. Sir, the tactical officer stammered, I'm reading energy outputs consistent with our own fleet's power generation, from hundreds of sources across the planet's surface. What's Protocol Omega? Thek'var asked, though he was beginning to suspect he didn't want to know the answer. General Wong's expression turned thoughtful. Protocol Omega? That's what we call it when we stop pretending to be a peaceful species and start reminding the universe why Earth's apex predators never went extinct. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Around them, sensor displays were painting an increasingly alarming picture. Military installations worldwide were powering up systems that shouldn't exist, energy readings were climbing to impossible levels, and most disturbing of all, objects were launching from Earth's surface. Not missiles, not conventional weapons, but definitely objects, heading their way at speeds that made Thek'var's fastest interceptors look stationary. Sir, Grixnell said quietly, I think we may have made a tactical error. The first object to reach the Dominion Fleet was, according to the sensors, a garbage truck. A what? Thek'var demanded, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. A refuse collection vehicle, sir, his sensor operator confirmed, voice trembling slightly. Earth designation, garbage truck. It appears to be heavily modified. The truck, if it could still be called that, had somehow survived atmospheric exit and was now barreling toward their flagship at speeds that violated several laws of physics. What made it worse was that it wasn't alone. Behind it came a school bus painted bright yellow with something that looked suspiciously like missile pods welded to its sides. Following that was what appeared to be a commercial refrigerator with rocket engines strapped to it. Sir Grixnell called out, panic creeping into his voice, our point defense systems can't get a lock. The objects they're not following standard ballistic trajectories. That kitchen appliance just performed a barrel roll. Thek'var watched in horrified fascination as more objects launched from Earth's surface. A concrete mixer truck with plasma cannons mounted where the mixing drums should be. It's a city bus that had apparently been converted into some kind of battering ram with fusion engines. Something that looked like a food truck, except food trucks generally didn't emit that level of exotic radiation. How are they even moving? Demanded Admiral Zixthel. Half of those objects shouldn't be capable of spaceflight, let alone combat maneuvering. The answer came in the form of a transmission from the approaching garbage truck. The hologram displayed a human figure in what appeared to be a modified hazmat suit, grinning maniacally behind a makeshift helmet. Howdy there, space folks, the human said cheerfully. This is Captain Maya Hendricks of the Terran Sanitation Corps, 1st Orbital Division. Hope you don't mind, but we're coming up to collect your trash. Sanitation Corps? Thek'var sputtered. You're attacking us with garbage collectors? Well, technically we're waste management specialists, Hendricks corrected. But when Earth went to Protocol Omega, everyone got reassigned. Turns out, when you spend your whole career dealing with things nobody else wants to touch, you get real creative with problem solving. The garbage truck suddenly accelerated, its improvised weapons systems coming online. Thek'var watched in disbelief as the vehicle somehow penetrated their outer defensive screens, shields that could deflect planet-killing asteroids. How is that thing getting through our barriers? he screamed. "Sir," the defensive systems operator said weakly, I think they're using our own shield frequencies against us. Somehow they've modulated their weapons to harmonic resonances that our barriers can't deflect." The school bus opened fire next, its improvised missile pods launching what appeared to be modified playground equipment. Swings and slides and jungle gyms, all somehow weaponized and moving at relativistic speeds. They turned playground equipment into kinetic penetrators, Grixnall whispered in awe. "Those are actual monkey bars punching through our hull plating." More transmissions flooded their communication arrays. A concrete mixer truck identified itself as Mobile Artillery Unit Bravo 7, operated by someone who claimed to be a former construction foreman. The food truck announced itself as Tactical Nutrition Support Alpha, piloted by a chef who kept offering to serve them knuckle sandwiches with a side of regret. "This is insane," Thek'var muttered, watching his fleet's defensive formations scatter before an assault force consisting entirely of repurposed civilian vehicles. "How are food service workers and construction crews outmaneuvering our trained pilots?" Captain Hendrick's voice crackled over the comm again. "See, here's the thing about humans, Commander. We don't really have dedicated military vehicles like you do. Everything we build to do double duty. That garbage truck? It's also a mobile command center, a deep space explorer, and a really angry battering ram when the situation calls for it." A new alarm sounded on the bridge. "Sir," the tactical officer called out, "we have multiple hull breaches. Something has physically attached itself to our outer hull." The display showed a human figure in what looked like a modified spacesuit, wielding what appeared to be a kitchen appliance. The human was methodically cutting through the flagship's outer armor with what sensors identified as a weaponized blender. "A blender?" Thek'var's voice reached a pitch that made several officers wince. "They're cutting through our hull with kitchen equipment?" "Not just any blender, sir," came another transmission, this one from the human on their hull. "This is a Vitamix 7500, military-grade modification. Dr. Rajesh Kumar, Earth Engineering Corps. Mind if I come in?" Before Thek'var could respond, Dr. Kumar had burned through the hull plating and was standing in their outer corridor, somehow breathing normally despite the vacuum of space. "How are you alive?" Grixnall whispered, staring at the human through their internal sensors. Dr. Kumar looked directly at the camera and smiled. "Oh, that's the really fun part. See, when we figured out we weren't alone in the universe, we started a little enhancement program. Nothing too fancy, just some genetic tweaks to help us survive in hostile environments." The human casually walked deeper into the ship, apparently unaffected by the lack of atmosphere, the radiation, or the fact that the temperature should have flash frozen his blood. "Enhanced how?" Thek'var demanded. "Well, let's see," Kumar said conversationally, pulling out what looked like a modified power drill. "Radiation resistance courtesy of some genes we borrowed from tardigrades. Vacuum tolerance from studying extremophile bacteria. Temperature regulation from Arctic mammals. And the really neat part? We kept our original human stubbornness and creativity." More alarms sounded as additional humans began boarding their ships throughout the fleet. Each one carried improvised weapons that somehow worked better than military-grade equipment. A woman with a modified leaf blower that generated plasma streams. A man using a construction nail gun that fired hypervelocity penetrators. Someone had turned a coffee machine into a directed energy weapon. "Sir," the communications officer reported, voice cracking, "we're receiving casualty reports from across the fleet. Human boarding parties have taken control of 17 ships using home improvement tools and kitchen appliances." Dr. Kumar's voice echoed through the ship's internal communications. "The thing about humans, Commander, is that we've spent our entire evolutionary history turning everything around us into tools. Rocks become hammers, sticks become spears, and when the situation calls for it, kitchen appliances become weapons of mass destruction." Through the corridors, Thek'var could hear the sounds of his crew being systematically overwhelmed by humans wielding the most ridiculous arsenal in galactic history. Someone was using what sounded like a vacuum cleaner to disable their life support systems. Another human appeared to be rewiring their navigation computers with what looked like a smartphone and some jumper cables. "This is impossible," Thek'var whispered. "You're using civilian equipment against military-grade defenses." Kumar's laughter echoed through the ship. "Military-grade? Commander, you've been conquering civilizations that built dedicated military equipment. We're humans. Everything we build is weapons-grade if you're creative enough about it." The final insult came when the ship's main computer announced, in a cheerful Earth accent, "Hello there. I'm your new ship's AI, courtesy of a networking student from Ohio and a really impressive collection of gaming laptops. Please prepare for immediate course correction to Earth orbit. You'll be participating in what humans call peace negotiations. Also, does anyone know how to make coffee? I'm still learning." Commander Thek'var slumped in his command throne, watching his tactical displays with the hollow-eyed stare of someone whose entire worldview had just collapsed. 47% of his fleet was now under human control, operated by boarding parties wielding kitchen utensils and power tools. The humans hadn't even deployed what they called their real military yet. "Sir," Grixnall whispered, his voice barely audible, "I'm receiving intelligence reports from our captured vessels. The humans they're cataloging our weapons systems. They appear to be taking notes." "Taking notes?" Thek'var's mandibles clicked weakly. "One of them, a person identified as Steve from accounting, has apparently reverse-engineered our plasma cannon technology using a calculator and a coffee machine. He's now giving lectures to other humans on basic alien tech for dummies." The main display flickered, showing intercepted human communications from across the captured ships. Humans in improvised spacesuits were examining Dominion technology with the casual curiosity of mechanics inspecting a broken car engine. "Hey Mike," one human called to another, "check this out. Targeting computers run on quantum processing matrices. A fancy name for what we'd call a really expensive graphics card." "No kidding? Think we can upgrade it?" "Already did. Installed some gaming software from Earth. Their accuracy just improved by 300%. Thek'var felt something cold and terrible settling in his stomach. "Grixnall, pull up our historical files on human warfare." "Sir?" "Their wars, their conflicts, their military engagements. How advanced is their actual military technology?" The data that appeared on the holographic display made Thek'var wish he'd never heard of the third planet from Sol. Humans had been fighting each other for millennia, continuously refining their methods of organized violence. What he'd dismissed as primitive weapons were actually the result of thousands of years of dedicated research into making things dead efficiently. "Sir," Grixnall said slowly, reading from the files, "according to this data, humans have been conducting what they call world wars using only a fraction of their available resources. They treat these conflicts as training exercises." "Training exercises?" Listen to this intercepted communication from their archives. "Yeah, World War II was pretty rough, but at least we didn't have to break out the really nasty stuff. That's saved for when we're really annoyed." A new transmission crackled to life, showing a human in what was obviously actual military attire, not the improvised gear they'd been seeing. Lieutenant General Patricia Wong appeared on screen, and Thek'var immediately noticed the difference. Where the previous humans had seemed almost casual in their approach to warfare, this one radiated the kind of professional competence that made experienced soldiers nervous. "Commander Thek'var," General Wong said, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed instantly, "I think we need to have a more serious conversation." You haven't been using your real military," Thek'var said, the words tasting like defeat in his mouth. "Yes, of course not. What you've been fighting is our civilian emergency response teams. Garbage collectors, construction workers, kitchen staff. Admittedly, very well-trained garbage collectors with access to some interesting equipment, but civilians nonetheless." Then what Thek'var's voice cracked, "What is your real military?" General Wong's smile was the kind that made career soldiers wake up in cold sweats. "Let me explain something about human military doctrine, Commander. We have 3 basic rules when dealing with hostile forces. She held up one finger. Rule 1, make it work. We don't care if it's elegant, efficient, or follows proper engineering protocols. If it accomplishes the mission, it's good enough. A second finger. Rule 2, make it hurt. We've spent our entire species' history perfecting methods of causing maximum damage with minimum resources. It's become something of a specialty. The third finger made Thek'var's blood run cold. Rule 3, make it embarrassing. Because what's the point of defeating your enemies if you can't make them regret challenging you in the first place? As if summoned by her words, every display screen across the Dominion Fleet suddenly activated simultaneously. Instead of tactical information or ship status reports, they now showed what appeared to be a human entertainment program. What is this? Thek'var demanded. Oh, that would be Earth music, Wong said conversationally. Specifically, something called Baby Shark. It's designed to be educational for human children, but we found it has interesting psychological effects on alien nervous systems. The melody was simple, repetitive, and absolutely maddening. Within minutes, Thek'var could feel his sanity beginning to fray around the edges. Across his bridge, crew members were clutching their auditory organs in distress. Make it stop, Grixnell pleaded. Oh, this is just the beginning, Wong said cheerfully. We've also taken the liberty of hacking your ship's external displays. The view screens switched to show the exterior of Dominion vessels, their proud hull markings now replaced with messages in bright, garish colors. Thek'var's own flagship now bore the words "Universe's biggest loser" in letters visible from several light minutes away. Other ships in the fleet displayed equally humiliating messages. We tried to invade Earth and all we got was this lousy t-shirt. If you're a failed galactic conqueror. Earth 1, alien jerks, 0. This is psychological warfare, Thek'var realized with growing horror. This is Tuesday, Wong corrected. We haven't even started the psychological warfare yet. That would involve releasing the files we've compiled on each of your crew members' personal histories, embarrassing medical records, and browsing habits from when you visited Earth's internet. The bridge fell silent except for the relentless repetition of Baby Shark echoing from every speaker. We know Admiral Zixthale has an irrational fear of small Earth mammals called hamsters, Wong continued conversationally. Grixnell has been secretly writing romantic poetry about a communications officer on Deck 7. And you, Commander Thek'var, have been embezzling from the Dominion Military Fund to purchase what humans call premium adult entertainment subscriptions. How could you possibly know that? Thek'var whispered. Rule 1, Commander. Make it work. Turns out, when you're fighting for your planet's survival, breaking into alien computer systems becomes a very high priority. We've been monitoring your fleet's communications since you entered our solar system. The music switched to something even worse, a combination of what sounded like construction equipment and dying animals that humans apparently called death metal. The external displays now showed each alien crew member's most embarrassing personal secrets scrolling in bright, cheerful fonts. Please, Thek'var begged, make it stop. General Wong's expression didn't change. Oh, Commander? We're just getting warmed up? 3 hours later, when Thek'var had endured enough psychological torture to break the will of a seasoned interrogation specialist, he finally attempted what every military commander dreads most, the tactical withdrawal that isn't really tactical and definitely isn't dignified. All ships, he announced over the fleet communications, his voice hoarse from shouting over the endless loop of what humans called Barney songs, prepare for emergency hyperspace jump. We're leaving this accursed system. The response from his navigation officer was not what he wanted to hear. Sir, hyperdrive systems are non-responsive. I'm showing active interference across all quantum tunnel frequencies. What kind of interference? According to the diagnostic, sir, someone has uploaded what appears to be a computer virus into our navigation computers. The virus is it's playing a game called Pac-Man using our hyperspace coordinates as the maze. On the main display, Thek'var watched in horrified fascination as a small yellow circle consumed the dots that represented their escape vectors. while being chased by colorful ghosts that giggled in high-pitched voices. Sir, Grixnail added weakly, the virus also appears to have sent our current location to every known pirate organization in this sector, along with a message that says Free Dominion Fleet, slightly used, comes with complimentary humiliation. A new transmission appeared, showing a human figure in what appeared to be military fatigues and a confident grin. The identification tag read Master Sergeant Jake Thompson, Earth Expeditionary Force. "Howdy, Commander," Thompson said cheerfully. "Hope you don't mind, but I thought I'd drop by for a personal visit." "Personal visit?" Thek'var's voice cracked. "Well, see, the thing is, we've been monitoring your little invasion fleet for weeks now, and frankly, we're a bit insulted. You showed up with your fancy ships and your planet-cracking weapons, and you didn't even have the courtesy to bring a real challenge." The external sensors showed something that made Thek'var's remaining sanity pack its bags and head for the nearest exit. A human figure in what appeared to be a modified spacesuit was somehow flying through the vacuum of space using nothing but a jetpack that looked suspiciously like it had been cobbled together from lawn equipment. "How is he moving through space with a leaf blower?" Grixnail whispered. "Modified leaf blower," Thompson's voice corrected through the comm. "Military grade. And before you ask, yes, I'm planning to board your flagship. No, your shields won't stop me. And yes, I'm bringing what humans call a really bad attitude." The humans' improvised jetpack somehow penetrated their defensive screens, passed through their hull armor like it wasn't there, and deposited Master Sergeant Thompson directly onto the bridge through what appeared to be sheer force of will and creative use of physics. "Evening, folks," Thompson said, removing his helmet to reveal the kind of grin that made career soldiers nervous. "Nice ship you got here. Mind if I take a look around?" Without waiting for an answer, Thompson began examining the bridge equipment with the casual interest of someone browsing a hardware store. He picked up a control console, turned it over, and nodded approvingly. Not bad workmanship. Could use some improvements, though. He pulled out what looked like a standard military multi-tool and began making modifications to their targeting system. "There we go. Your weapon's accuracy just improved by about 400%. "Why are you helping us?" Thek'var asked, confused. "Oh, I'm not helping you," Thompson clarified. "I'm helping us. See, we've taken control of your entire fleet, which means these are our weapons now. Might as well make sure they work properly." The realization hit Thek'var like a physical blow. "You've captured our entire invasion force." "Yep, took about 6 hours all told. It would have been faster, but some of your ships had really stubborn coffee machines." Speaking of which, Thompson continued conversationally, "We need to discuss terms." "Terms?" "Surrender terms. See, here's the thing. You attacked our planet, which means you're now prisoners of war. But Earth's prison system isn't really set up for alien species, so we're going to have to get creative." A holographic display activated, showing what appeared to be a contract written in multiple languages, including what Thek'var recognized with growing dread as Galactic Standard. "Option 1, Thompson explained, you can spend the next 50 standard years in an Earth prison, where you'll be fed nothing but what humans call cafeteria food and subjected to continuous educational programming about Earth's social customs." The display showed images of what appeared to be institutional meals and humans engaged in incomprehensible social activities. "Option 2, you can work off your debt to human society by serving as what we call consultants for Earth's new interstellar defense program. Good pay, reasonable hours, and you get to help us figure out what other hostile alien species might be planning to visit." Thek'var studied the contract with the growing realization that surrender had never felt so much like winning the lottery. "And if we choose option 2? Thompson's grin widened. "Well, then you get to help us prepare for the next group of aliens who think Earth looks like an easy target. Trust me, after what you've been through today, you're going to want to be on our side when that happens." 6 months later, Commander Thek'var found himself sitting in what humans called a coffee shop in downtown New York, briefing a group of Earth Defense Force officers on Dominion Fleet tactics. His official title was Senior Consultant for Alien Military Affairs, and he had to admit the pay was excellent. The vegan hegemony will probably approach from the outer asteroid belt, he explained, pointing to a holographic star chart. They prefer to use stealth technology and overwhelming numerical superiority. Stealth technology, asked General Wong, now his direct supervisor and someone he'd learned to respect enormously. How sophisticated? Very. But they have one weakness. Their cloaking systems can't compensate for what humans call really obnoxious music. Wong smiled, the same expression that had once terrified him and now filled him with something approaching professional pride. Excellent. I think it's time Earth introduced the galaxy to something called death metal. Thek'var clicked his mandibles in what had become his version of human laughter. General, I almost feel sorry for them. Almost? Well, he said, raising his coffee cup in what humans called a toast, they're about to learn the same lesson we did. Never attack a species that considers psychological warfare a form of entertainment. Outside the window, construction crews were installing what appeared to be massive speakers on every orbital defense platform around Earth. Thek'var had learned not to ask questions about human military preparations. He'd also learned that when humans said they were going to get really nasty, it was probably best to be on their side. After all, as Master Sergeant Thompson had explained during his initial briefing, humans had been looking for a good reason to stop playing nice with the universe. The Dominion had simply been considerate enough to provide one,